I started to think about how bad we are at self-assessment and self-awareness, especially when it comes to our blind spots. And we all have them. There are things that we're just not wired for. Some people aren't wired for technology. Some people are more mathematically minded. Others are more literary. And some are detail oriented and some are big picture. To be successful in life, it's very important to augment the thing that you're great at with someone who complements that weakness. It's very hard. I know I'm kind of a big picture person, but I also force myself to do a lot of detail stuff like this. Like setting up these videos is torture for me because you have to make sure every little thing, every little box is ticked. It's a muscle that you can learn to develop, or you could augment with others. But you look at professions like economics, for example. The reason I think economics is struggling as a profession, and maybe economists won't agree with it, but I don't care, they don't have a good grasp of technology or culture trends. Economics is inseparable from culture. There's a professor of economics who won a Nobel Prize, I think it was last year. Richard Thaler is his name. He showed that a lot of the things economists expect people to do that are rational, they don't do. Economics is very much a social science. I know it has some numbers and some other things that make it look, more sciencey, like hard science, like physics or biology, but it's not. It's very much tied to culture. What you observe here in the US is not going to be the behavior you observe some other country or even in a different period in time. You fast forward to the future or to the past, people were different. They won't react the same way. COVID, for example, is a big shift in how people think, and that will have a cascading effect through their behaviors. The same thing happened after 9/11. How people think was affected. In fact, they were, for the first time, even acknowledging the existence of the Middle East, for better or worse. Also, technologists are people who tend to think rationally in ways that people do not. And they're a bunch of doers, like people who make great product. I think I make really good, compelling content. I make really good things, but I'm very bad at publicizing them. And I don't have the ego for it. And it's funny because when you put stuff out there, you would think that ego is one of the reasons you want some sort of acknowledgement and adulation. I think that's part of it, but for me, a very small part. I think for me, it's always been about expressing creativity more than anything else. And for a lot of people who are creatives and creators, it's very hard to put themselves into marketing mode. And so they need to almost force themselves to dedicate a percentage of their time to putting their work out there, not just creating more work. And I think there is something to be said for lots of quality work eventually being recognized, but there's also something to be said for going the way of Van Gogh, slicing your ear off and killing yourself. So, great creators can go any number of ways. So I think marketing can be salvation for a lot of great creators. And quite frankly, it's been salvation for a lot of mediocre creators, because a lot of times the people who just kept putting stuff out and kept marketing themselves did better than a lot of people that I know have more talent, but maybe just gave up because they never seemed to get the traction. And the other kinds of people that have blind spots, the world is filled up with them. People who have low information or no information about a lot of topics, still giving their opinions on those topics. And I see it all the time. I mean, we arguably have a president and a bunch of Congress people who do that regularly. The blind are leading the blind. You can never be fully informed on every single issue. Sometimes you need to act with limited information, but there is attainable knowledge out there that people just aren't attaining.